Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show with your hosts, Rusty Buckets and Uncle Buck. Now, let's get to the show.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to your Monday edition of the Two Buck Sports Show. I am your co-host, Rusty Buckets, coming to you from a steamy East Memphis today as it is boiling hot outside. But I am inside in the cool with my guy, Drew Gann, a.k.a. Uncle Buck. Uncle Buck, we talked a little bit over the weekend, but this is the first time we've really talked since last Wednesday. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I am good. I'm glad to be back in routine. I had a lot of stuff to talk about in our Best of Beef segment of the week. So I'll hold on to all of it for right now. But right now on this Monday at lunchtime, as I'm sitting in this chair, everything's peachy.
Yeah, it's nice to get back in routine. It is well established that we are both creatures of habit. And when those things get thrown off, it ends up a whale of a problem. And so I'm glad to see you back in your seat, hanging out here with me today. We got a lot to cover. There's a lot of NBA actioning happening. We've got a Shams update for y'all with spoiler alerts and some cool things around that. But y'all sit tight. We got a jam-packed show, but we've got to waste your time before we do anything else.
That is right, Rusty. It is Monday. It is 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, God's time zone, here in North Mississippi and East Memphis. And we're going to start this Monday episode the same way we start off every episode. It is our Best and Beef, brought to you by
Donna's Italian Beef, 509 Constitution Drive in Iuka, Mississippi. Go see Jim, my cousin, who runs that restaurant. They do slow burgers, Italian beef. They have a great breakfast. He's always in the group chat with me and my brother popping in. Hey, what if I did this on a biscuit? What if I did this for a lunch special? And all of them are absolute bangers. Check them out. 509 Constitution Drive, Iuka, Mississippi. Open 7 to 3 weekdays, 7-11 on Saturdays. Tell them the $2 sent you, and Jim will hook you up.
That's right. I still have yet to been able to have the chance to go over to Donna's Italian Beef, but it is on the list. Let me tell you what, it is high on our list of things to do in the near future. So it's Monday. It is our first segment. We are on Bluff City Media's YouTube page and X page. I would like to take this moment right now to invite everybody that's watching on X to come over to YouTube. We've got Anthony Sane, we've got King Meeks, we've got Wayno, the usual guys, our locals, our regulars are in the chat already 3 minutes into this show, and there will be more. So come hang out with all the cool cats over here at YouTube.
Yeah.
And when you get over here, go find the like button, hit the thumbs up button. It helps us out. It boosts our show. And we like that for that to happen. So it's Monday. It's our Best of Beef for the week. This segment started because we are best friends for over a decade, and we just wanted to see how everybody's week went. We call this our Best of Beef because it's our best thing that happened to us this week and our biggest gripe of the weekend. So, Rusty, I set them up. You knock them down. What's the best thing that happened to you this week?
It was a beautiful July 4th weekend. It was really nice. We went up to Jackson on Saturday and took Shelby and Boone and hung out with Maggie's family and their dog Luna. And it was an awesome time, great time hanging out. And Drew, I experienced something for the first time in my life that actually and it truly lived up to the hype. I'll say that. Her dad cooked the Wagyu beef steaks. I had a Wagyu ribeye for the first time in my life. And when I tell you that it exceeded expectations, like the marbling, the flavor, and you know me, I like my steak like super rare. So it just melted like butter. It was super easy to chew through and eat. It was just seasoned to perfection, cooked to perfection. He sous vide it before searing it in the skillet. It was phenomenal, truly lived up to the hype. Her mom made this lemon meringue, icebox pie that was just to die for. And it was so good that I asked Maggie, where'd she buy that at? Because we're going to need to put that in the rotation. She was like, oh, that's homemade. And I was like, get out. It was that good. And so they fed me really well. But the best, no pun intended here, was the Wagyu beef that I ate on Saturday. Truly lived up to the hype. Cannot emphasize how good that was.
I've had Wagyu one time, and it's when me and Haley went on our little weekend away to the little campsite up in Alabama. And we had Wagyu there, and it was incredible. It was incredible.
It's so good. And it was Wagyu. She made some homemade grits, broccoli salad and that lemon pie. Like I'm telling you, I was just, it was incredible. It was in hog heaven. That's for sure.
You know, since Wayno's in Japan, Rusty, you think he could snatch us up some Wagyu and
listen, ship it over, we'll eat it
deliver
live on air. I mean, it's just it's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
All you got to do to cook Rusty's steak is just stick it in the microwave for 15 seconds, and he's good.
Like I told Maggie's brother this weekend, like if you just walk it by the grill, that's plenty done for me.
My best of the week. I've had the busiest weekend of my life. I've had the busiest. So it's had lots of high points.
Yeah.
And then there was just a ton of driving. So I'll just, for my best segment, I'll just tell you about the fun things I did. So we went to a minor league baseball game on July the 3rd. It was fun. It was the Nashville Sounds versus the Memphis Redbirds. And because I am a fan of the St. Louis Cardinals, I am also a fan of Memphis teams. It is a match made in heaven. I love the Memphis Redbirds. I've been, 100 times to Redbirds games through my childhood. And so normally when I go, like, I don't hate the Nashville Sounds per se, and go to a minor league stadium, I like to buy some merch, but because they were playing the Redbirds, I couldn't, and I didn't. And I was the only person cheering for the Redbirds in this stadium. And it was great because a grand slam in the 8th inning put the Redbirds up by 1, and me and my daughter were the only ones standing up and screaming. And it was nice to be behind enemy lines, to be the hated, because it's never worked out to me before. The only Egg Bowl I've ever been to in my life, in Starkville, Ole Miss lost, and I was treated very poorly. And so it was nice to be on the other end of things where I was the visitor and my team won. So that was great. We had to drive home on Friday the next day to help with a church event that we had committed to months ago. Me and my wife played music. That was a lot of fun. Play with your friends. But because this vacation was last minute, we had to make a really quick trip back home from Nashville, which is not a really quick trip.
Better man than I am.
That was fun. We also did other fun stuff too. And so we went to a farmer's market. Like, it was a good weekend. The beefs though were readily available as well. What's your biggest beef?
Man, like, I don't know what happened. So I want to preface this beef with, I deep clean my house weekly. I scrub everything. I vacuum. I've got a dog who sheds. You wouldn't think Dobermans shed that much, but they do. So I clean. Like, I'm a clean person. Okay. Prefacing this. But somehow we've had about a dozen flies get in this house, and they just seem to not go away. We've got fly traps. We've got the plug-in little lights that attract them to the little sticky pad. Like, every time I open the door, I feel like 6 or 7 fly out, and I'm like, yes. And then I turn around, there's like 9 on the garbage can. And I'm like, what is happening? And so if anybody's got some like tips, tricks, remedies, get really stupid flies, I'm all in. I'm here for it. We've got a similar issue over at Maggie's. It's not quite as bad there, but like, we're clean people. We just can't get rid of the freaking flies. And so I'm sitting here now, and there's one buzzing around the room. If it goes by on camera, you'll see it. He's a freeloader here.
Use a backpack to smash it.
That's it. Just freak out on air like Drew did. But yeah, just trying to get really stupid flies here in this house has been a battle for the last 3 or 4 days.
Listen, nobody has worse fly problems than the Gann house. And there's 2 main reasons. One, children who don't close the door behind them. Oh, they're constantly in and out all day long. It's summertime. They're out of school. And we also have dirty diapers. And talk about magnets for flies. My goodness, it is rough. And so the only thing I think you can do to eliminate the possibility of them getting in your house is you get one of those huge air blowers they have at like the grocery store. When they open up the door, it's like, and it just blows all those insects away.
I just imagine that thing hitting my roommate's 13-pound dog, and she just like flying out the door.
Bye, Maggie.
Like a tumbleweed, just like end over end, like, bye, Maggie.
Yeah, that's 2 birds with 1 stone.
That's it.
All right. My biggest beef was just the incessant amount of traveling. Listen, if you are a developer in the Nashville area, I know that, the jobs market has never been better. If you're a developer in Nashville, those apartments going up everywhere. However, think of the people that are going to stay there. We took 15 people and it had plenty of room for 15 people. But this sucker was on 4 different stories. There was 1 bedroom on the bottom floor. There was a kitchen and living room and a bedroom on the 2nd floor. And then there was 2 bedrooms on the 3rd floor. And then there was a balcony on the 4th floor. And I've got lots of children, most of which I don't trust on stairs, which means I'm hauling kids up and down stairs 24/7. I mean, I shouldn't have been that sore after vacation. I'm supposed to be taking it easy. So, that's my biggest beef.
Oh, listen, we've got plenty of beef to go around. Let us know yours in the comment. Tell us the best thing that's happened to you this week, your biggest beef of the week. We want to know. You got Jared in here talking about 4th and 25, which I'm absolutely here for. I love that.
We're banning. I was also in the stadium for 4th and 25, and I sat there until the ushers told me to leave. Just mouth open, just heartbroken. I couldn't move.
I have put somebody in timeout on another show already today. I'll do it again right now, but not for Jared. Not for Jared, because we're here for 4th and 25. But before we get to our commercial break, I do want to talk about Ounce of Hope. Ounce of Hope has got 2 new products that are coming out. The first one being the Roasted Coffee Black Nitro Cold Brew. It's got 5 milligrams of THC that has been released already. They're $5.99 a can. You can get those at ounceofhope.com. Code Bluff City will get you 15% off your first order of those. You can also get on there and pre-order their 30 milligram Delta 9 THC seltzers that are coming available. You got a peach buzz and a high lime so far. Those are the 2 flavors that are coming out. But you can get online. You can pre-order those today. Again, that's a 30 milligram Delta 9 THC seltzer. I'm a big fan of the peach buzz. I can't wait to try that one. I'm going to order some of the coffee ones because I'm a huge coffee nerd and I love their seltzers. So that's going to be a must purchase for me. Check them out at ounceofhope.com. Code Bluff City gets you 15% off your first order. Also, stay tuned. On August the 16th, we're doing a Chokin' and Token event with Ounce of Hope in Midtown Krav Maga. It's a jiu-jitsu tournament. It's going to bring in talent from all around the Mid-South. Got some opportunity to bring in some high-level competitors, some high-level announcers. So stay tuned for more details. Check out the Bluff City Media Instagram page for all of the details. And if you are a competitor, you can sign up there. There's a link in our website in the comments under the photo. Check it out on Bluff City Media's Instagram page.
Looking for an alternative to alcohol or conventional medicine? Check out Ounce of Hope, a Memphis-based dispensary with 2 local stores in the Sanderland Center and on South Cooper Street. You can get all the products you need in a location convenient to you. Each store offers an intentional shopping experience with dedicated bud tenders to answer all of your questions, from product selection and mushroom blends to our personal favorite, the Delta 9 seltzers. You gotta try the Peach Buzz. Try Ounce of Hope at either one of their 2 Memphis stores or at www.ounceofhope.com for convenient products shipped right to your door. Use the promo code Bluff City for 15% off any order, excluding sale items. Cannot be used in conjunction with other promotions or discounts. One use per customer.
Well, that's a pretty good answer. The correct answer is the Grizzlies will be better if Ja plays 70 games. We can talk all we want about who's going to play where and who's going to get the minutes, and Jalen's minutes and Coward's minutes, and KCP, is he starting? Is he coming off the bench? And is Scotty the backup point guard? And Ty Jerome, what sort of role is he going to have? And can he be really big for us? And, how's Brandon Clark? We can talk all of that stuff. What matters for this team's success is that Ja Morant's playing 70 games. Period.
Well, you know what? I can tell you this much. I want to argue with you, but I can't argue with you. The team is still built around him being great and available, and Jaren being great and available.
Tune in to the Night Court Podcast with your hosts, Rob Fisher and Brevin Knight, on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. In the heart of the Highland Strip for 27 years, Trilogy Tattoo has helped tell stories for Memphians for generations. Located at 530 South Highland, Richie and his team are waiting to help you tell yours.
From tattoos to piercings, your body art should be as unique as you are. Voted a Memphis Flyer top 3 tattoo shop in the city of Memphis since day one. Your story will be safe here at Trilogy Tattoo.
Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 11 to 11, and 3 to 11 on Sundays. They have convenient times waiting on you. Let Trilogy Tattoo help you tell your story.
Welcome back to the 2 Buck Sports Show. I was too busy vibing out to the smooth jazz and voice of Kenny Stubblefield to add my colleague back to the stage. But check out ounceofhope.com. Drew, welcome back. We got plenty of NBA talk to get to. And so we'll dive right in. We had an announcement, a trade announced this morning. While I was at the gym, some news happened.
Wow.
That's my
Shout
new
out to Jerry
favorite.
Davidson
stupid thing.
for the photo and SoundCloud for Owen Wilson.
Yeah, so we had a blockbuster trade, Rusty, that we're going to spend the whole episode. No, I'm just kidding. Don't leave yet. It is a John Collins, Kevin Love, and Norm Powell center trade. Norm Powell goes to Miami. Kevin Love goes to Utah.
Poor Kevin Love.
Yeah, poor Kevin Love. Although white, so Utah.
It's on brand. Did you see his tweet in the aftermath of it? He said, I had it right here and it reset. Continue. I'm sorry. What a letdown.
What a goofball. You started a sentence and couldn't complete it. And
Never
John
thought I'd
Collins
be
goes to the Los Angeles Clippers.
Never thought I'd be a math problem. Welcome to the NBA. And the first comment that I see underneath it is, you either die a hero or live long enough to be outgoing salary. Phenomenal tweet.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if that was a Kevin Durant reply. So. Yeah. Listen, we've always said that John Collins is a player that we would love to see on the Grizzlies, and he is now a Los Angeles Clipper, so he's dead to me. And we also said we always wanted Cam Johnson, and he is now in Denver, so he's dead to me. And so we have to find like a whole new batch of people that we want, because they've all left. John Collins Sexton is split up and gone to opposite coasts, and Denver is now the home for Cam Johnson. And so we have no one else that we want.
There's still hope to bring in Lauri Markkanen to join his brethren on the sideline, fellow Eastern Bloc, Eastern European, Finnish, can join him on the sideline. We'll see what happens. But yeah, the Norm Powell one is interesting because he's like a fringe all-star. Like, he's a bucket. Last year in the NBA, he averaged the most points per touch at 0.509, which is better than KP. Jaren Jackson Jr. was third on this list, by the way. DeAndre Hunter, SGA, Malik Beasley, and Klay Thompson are your top 7. But the guy's a bucket, and he gets points. And this feels kind of goofy for the Clippers to let him go, although there are rumors that the Clippers are trying to clear room to sign Bradley Beal if and when he's bought out by Phoenix. This feels like a move that can clear the runway for that to happen, Drew.
Well, LA and Miami, they don't exactly have to be – they don't think about this the same way that we do, because they are destinations for free agents. Everybody always wants to go to LA. People always want to go to Phoenix or New York, those coastal elites, They don't think about this the same way we do. Yes, we would love, we dream of having, the free agent that comes our way, but it doesn't happen. So we have to attain everybody via trade. If trades doesn't necessarily make sense for the players, like you see Norm Powell come back and then you get back John Collins, like, that may be a downgrade, although maybe it's just a zero neutral. Like, you can't just think about it in terms of the trade when you're thinking of those coastal teams, because you're right. You got to think salaries, because they're just going to go get a buyout guy.
Yeah.
No buyout candidate wants to come to Memphis.
I mean, you're right. We'll get to Memphis here in a minute, but like, we've talked about Danny Ainge on the show, and I know Wayno is a huge Danny Ainge fan of what he does. But listen to this: Danny Ainge has turned Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, and John Collins into Yusef Nurkic, Kyle Anderson, and Kevin Love. Not exactly the turnaround that you'd want to get for those players. Yes, they've gotten a couple draft picks here and there, but as far as like player return, this is not exactly building a juggernaut around Lauri Markkanen that he would want to stay, or Ace Bailey. Drew, frankly, I kind of understand. I kind of get why Ace Bailey was a little bit upset about going to Utah, given the return that Danny Ainge has scored.
Listen, what Utah has done is just doubled down on a rebuild. And what they've done the last few years has never made any sense. But now it's like Danny Ainge is like, fine. Like, I like, they did draft Ace Bailey against his will. I loved it. I think Ace Bailey has a potential to be the second best player in this draft. And they got him at 5. Okay. And they extended Will Hardy. They gave him a new fat contract so they're going to stick with their coach. They've committed to him. And they're just going youth movement, just full youth movement, Philadelphia 76er style, Oklahoma City Thunder style. And they've just started over when you've got, and going to build behind Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton Jr. And so, yeah, they're going to suck this year. They're going to be the worst team in the NBA again this year. And they're going to do it on purpose because this next coming draft is probably more top heavy definitely more top heavy than last year's. And, last year they were arguably, I don't remember record wise exactly. They were the worst team in the NBA and they got the 5th pick. So if they're the worst team in the NBA again next year and they get the 5th pick, well, your odds are higher of getting a better player than what you got anyways.
Yeah, I'm what's saying here. Like, they've got to stop what they're doing here. Because, and they tried last year, right? Like, Lauri Markkanen got them fined because he didn't play for the whole month of February, and they fined him and forced him to play Lauri Markkanen. Like, you've got a talent on their bench, but they're just not playing so they can be worse, trying to get better draft picks. Like, if you don't want to use him, send him to Memphis, man. He would fit beautifully in Memphis. Yes, Edward, I would love him on this team. He's super Santi, and like, you can give them Santi Aldama in return. Like, listen, we'll take your Lauri Markkanen and your Super Santi and send you a comparable player in return. But the Utah Jazz starting lineup next year now is going to be Isaiah Collier, Keontae George, Kyle Anderson, Lauri Markkanen, and Walker Kessler, who is questionable because there are rumors he's on the trade block. And so,
and you compare that to last year, we talked about multiple times. I mean, they had the Memphis Grizzlies beat a couple times because you can't convince me that a team that had John Collins Sexton and Walker Kessler and Lauri Markkanen, like that team shouldn't win games if trying hard. Yeah. And you had to eliminate the possibility that they tried hard by benching them and getting fined. And so now they've just taken the variable out. Like, okay, this player tried hard, he's out.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to replace him with Ace Bailey, who doesn't even want to be here.
Sane sees the vision. Asante and BC for Lauri Markkanen and give him some picks. Like, I'd love to hang on to that pick swap next year just simply because it could end up being a Cam Boozer in Memphis. And I'm just telling you right now, I'm speaking that into fruition because I will be insufferable if Cam Boozer ends up on this team. But a Santi and BC for Lauri Markkanen trade just absolutely feed families. But Drew, we're talking about team. Like, what? You disagree?
Lauri's fine. He's just always been on a losing team. And so forgive me for projecting him towards a winner. And that's not his fault. In Chicago and Utah, they actively tried to lose, but he's been really good.
You can't.
Is he going to play 5 or is he going to be a backup 4? Like,
I'm going to call you out here a little bit.
And that's what we're missing.
You can't on one hand say, give me John Collins Sexton from Utah, who has always been on a perennial loser, and then say, I don't want Lauri Markkanen because he's been on a losing basketball team.
Yeah,
you can't say both of those things.
I watched Collins Sexton dive at everything. I watched the play hard. And maybe
we don't get to see Lauri because they bench him in February. Like, we don't truly know. I think Lauri Markkanen would be amazing in this offense. Again,
it's more about the role he fits. Like, is he going to start at 5? Because to me, I still want to. Or is he going to come off the bench?
I know he would start. Like, you would get you'd have a massive lineup with him at the 3 and Jared at the 4 and Edie, whoever at the 5. Like, that's a big lineup. And Lauri is better than Santi because he can score. He can play a little bit of defense. He's a 3-level scorer. and a guy that can get you buckets. And so, like, you can't say, I want John Collins Sexton and then say I don't want Laurie because they're losers. Like, I think Laurie's the better of those three players by far.
Possibly.
So,
It's just about he plays the same exact position as Jaren. That's where I'm at.
Okay, put Jaren at the 5 and Laurie at the 4, and you got a very athletic bucket lineup. Say again?
Jaren's always stunk at the 5.
Well, for now.
So.
But like that's a lineup that can get you buckets. And there's no doubt about that.
So.
But you talk about teams that are consistently bad and teams that are struggling to win. The Memphis Grizzlies are not one of those. I saw this over the weekend, and I said this to Drew because I wanted to talk about it today, because you get a lot of people coming at you saying, oh, Memphis is so bad. They need to move to Nashville, and Memphis can never figure out how to win. Shout out Sane on his show on Thursday last week. He said that the Memphis Grizzlies, and this is a great point, of the 25 years they've been in Memphis, we've been to the playoffs 15 times. And so what you're seeing here is our average wins over or under the preseason projection for the last 15 years. The last 15 years. And in those 15 years, the Memphis Grizzlies are averaging almost 2 wins above their preseason projection, which puts them 4th best in the last 15 years out of any team in the NBA. You see way down there at the bottom, our brethren to our southwest, the New Orleans Pelicans, who have been cheeks for the last 15 years, a team that's not much better than the LA Lakers. Yes, they've had some runs in the last 15 years, but overall, they're finishing worse in how they're projecting. Drew, what this tells me is that for a small market, us being the smallest market, really before you get to Milwaukee there, like one of the smallest, if not the smallest market on this entire list, but like we're finding ways to win and stay above the curve, even though we can't land players. And like you said a few minutes ago, we're not a destination for free agents. Tell me how we're still exceeding expectations year after year.
Well, we've developed players very well, and we make smart moves. There's not been, we make the David Roddy and the Zaire Williams jokes a lot, but more times than not, they hit. And it's more important for Memphis than almost any team in the league that you hit at the draft. And you hit with John Morant. Obviously, that was the easiest pick you ever made. Then you hit with Jaren Jackson Jr., and you've hit with virtually anybody not named David Roddy and Zaire Williams in the draft. And so that's the best way to build a team, especially and have a team with a high floor. And also, it doesn't hurt either that Vegas every year feels like insults Memphis. Like every year people in Memphis say this is way too low. And so we've just proved them right every time. Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
And goes also the Lakers every year were like, there's no way that they're this good.
Yeah.
And that's
it. Yeah. But what you see in this, like, you're right. Like, I don't admit, like, Chris Wallace, like, did fine. Like, he hit on a few, but, like, was such a knucklehead running this team. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Zach Kline has been perfect, because he hasn't been. We could talk about David Roddy. We could talk about Zaire Williams and missing on those for sure. But what you can't say is that he has a better than average swing and hit versus a swing and miss rate in the NBA draft. Now, we can talk about free agents. We can talk about trades. Again, I think a lot of the trade shade, I might trademark that, the trade shade that he gets on Twitter is because people get in their feels about their own trade proposals that they make on Fanspo or Sports Track or ESPN Trade Machine, wherever you go. And so people get in their feels about that, and they think that because they can make it work, that Klyman should be able to make it work. And that's just not the case. Yeah. Could he do a better job in trades and free agency? Absolutely. I'm not giving him a pass with that. But trading in the NBA is such a complex math problem. Kevin Love is exactly right. Like, it's a math problem, right? You have to make ingoing and outgoing salaries and stay under this cap and this trade exception. And if you're going to move this much salary, you have to attach this many picks to it. And it takes way more brain power. Like, I used all my brain power just explaining that right there. Like, I could never be an NBA GM. Shocker. But like, what it tells me is that we are building the best way possible for a small market. And yeah, in a league that's championship or bust, it's a bummer that we haven't won a championship yet. But we're competitive year in and year out. And that's all you can truly hope for in the NBA these days. But there's so much parity now with the CBA, and things are changing. The dynasties are kind of going away. There's a lot of parity now. As a small market team, being competitive year in and year out gets taken for granted because we haven't hung a banner yet. And don't get me wrong, I hate losing. I won a championship parade in Memphis because I will be acting a fool on Beale Street when it happens, and I truly think it will. But like, embrace the culture that is winning here in Memphis because it's working, and we're one of the best teams in the last 15 years at exceeding expectations.
There's no doubt about that. Not one bit. And, you know, there's just so much value to not sucking. You know, for a small market team, you see teams like, you know, the Oakland Athletics. You know, I don't know if you necessarily call Oakland small market, although it's pretty small.
Yeah.
But you see what the apathy that happens when you have such a small market team that just insists on sucking for so long and rebuilding and not spending money. And I know baseball salary cap's totally different. Like it's not an apples to apples comparison, but just look at what happens to a fan base when you suck that bad for so long. And the Grizzlies, given all of the flaws in the market size and everything, and whether or not they are a destination for free agents and buyout candidates and all that kind of stuff, despite all that, they figured out a way to put competitive basketball on the court every single year, with the exception, since I've been a fan, with the exception of 2 years. One of those years was the year that you traded Mark Gasol and Zach Randolph. And then the other year, you started 28 different players. You played 28 different players in the season. You just got ravaged for injury. So you're doing it the right way. Zach Kleiman and the front office, of course, culture is culture. Zach Kleiman couldn't turn this into a tanking thing anyways. He wouldn't survive. But by consistently hitting on your draft picks and putting forth a team that tries hard and competes every single night, like that's how you increase your, you know, that's how you overshoot your floor, basically.
Yeah. And that's what we've seen. We've seen the Memphis Grizzlies continue to grow. It's that grit and grind culture. Shout out Edward. Like, it's just so ingrained in us as a city that boils over into our basketball team, because we could be fans of the Charlotte Hornets or the New Orleans Pelicans or the Utah Jazz in bigger markets, in bigger cities that are just year after year so bad. But instead, we roll out a gritty, competitive team outside of chaos. Like you said, we blew it up to get Ja Morant. And then we had a ton of injuries in 23-24, and it was just a disgusting year. Otherwise, we're a team that plays hard and plays grit in an ever-evolving NBA landscape. Drew, kind of a transition to our next topic I want to talk about. I'll throw this up. I saw this over the weekend as well. I don't know why that one came back up. I'm going to throw this one on there. Thank you. But over the last 20 years, you have seen a rise in three-point attempts in the NBA. When the NBA introduced a three-point shot in the 1979-1980 season, teams took an average of 2.8 shots per game, and they made 0.8 of them. Fast forward to the 1999-2000 season, and teams were shooting 13.7 per game, making 4.8. 2014-2015, 10 years ago, teams were averaging 22 three-point attempts per game, making 8.5. Last season, 36 attempts per game, making just over 13 three-pointers per game. You've got teams that are chucking at a high rate. You know, you think about the D'Antoni Houston Rockets team from a few years ago that went to the playoffs and shot, I think it was like 61 threes in a playoff game at one point. Teams are doing math, Drew, and teams are seeing that if you're shooting 35%, which you see most of the league now is shooting at 35% or above, shout out to the Nuggets who for some reason decided not to, you're averaging 1.05 points per shot. If you look at the same rate, but if you're in the same breath, I guess, at 2-point shots, making 50% of them, which most teams can account for that, you're only making 1 point per shot. And so what we're looking at, shout out Wayne, I'm a huge history nerd, so we're going to talk about history. What we're looking at is a revolution in the NBA, and I think the Memphis Grizzlies, Drew, have done some steps to get there by bringing in Ty Jerome and KCP, who is a guy who's notoriously a hot shooter from three. But we still have work to do because I'm afraid we're going to miss Desmond Bane's shooting more than we realized here in July when basketball season rolls around in October.
Well, listen, I, for one, never want to see the Grizzlies have their logo up there where Boston is. Because, yes, you could talk about nerds, you can talk about analytics and all that, and I can't argue with the math. However, it is just boring basketball. I don't think it's good for the game. And I've got a friend that is a big Celtics fan, and he likes to talk to me about how they go about getting their 3-point shots and the art of basketball and the artistry of getting open threes and the screens and the whatever. And I just don't care. I just don't care. You are shooting 55% of your shots and you're hoping to make 35% of them. That's just not fun to watch. It's just not. And I don't want the Grizzlies to be part of it. It's not tactical. It's not fun to watch. It's not appeasing to the eye. And I just want to see so much more. And I honestly think that the NBA is you're going to have your outliers. Like Boston, obviously, for the first time since those Houston teams under D'Antoni and James Harden, that's the biggest separation between one team and the pack. And I think that's the reason why Boston got down 2-0 against New York, is because in the playoffs, like if you're not hitting everything, then you don't really have a shot at winning. And there are a lot of times these teams don't have a second option or a second wrinkle to their team that can get a good guy that can get a solid 2-point shot. I seem to think that guys like DeMar DeRozan and Brandon Ingram may become more valuable as people zig against what Boston and what those old Houston teams used to do.
Sure. And I think we saw that in the playoffs, right? The two teams that made it to the finals, with being the Thunder and the Pacers, are two teams that could score at any level, right? You had guys who could make threes, and you can make threes in a hurry, but you had the Siakams that were mid-range, SGA, who's a mid-range assassin, Hallie and SGA getting to the rim. And especially in the playoffs, when it slows down to a much more of a half-court game, you have to have guys that can produce. And Sane is saying here in the comments that we're going to be a better shooting team next year, and it could happen. B-Ball Index, B-Ball_Index on Twitter posted this morning last night, I guess, the top 5 biggest leaps in overall shooting talent over the last 3 years. The number 1 player on the list is Jaren Jackson Jr., whose shots are falling at a higher rate. He was number 3 or 4 overall in floaters this year. Like, Jaren can get in his bag, and I see Wayno's comment, like, less Bane touches is more for John Jaren, and I'm here for that because they are consistent guys who can score at mostly all 3 levels, especially Jaren. But when you got guys like that, you add Ty Jerome, who can go on a heater. I think we are building a team that can make up for the loss that is Desmond Bane's 51% on catch and shoot open threes that we saw. But I still think we're a piece or two away, Drew. I still think that we need that kind of that wing guy that can go be a mid-range assassin. I don't know that DeMar DeRozan's the guy that I want to go get. Again, may I interest you in the Lauri Markkanen? It can be the guy that can get you a bucket. But I think Memphis is building something here. But I think all this continues to tell us that this is not the final product that we're going to see in October.
Yeah, I'm not going to say October, but I will say by the trade deadline.
Trade deadline's
that
probably
we may
better.
see somebody else added to this team. Yeah, I don't think this team is finished either, and I don't think this team is built in a way that you would think that they're going to try to shoot a ton of threes. Yes, they went and added Ty Jerome, who is a sharpshooter, and KCP has been a really good 3-point shooter in the past, and then you hope Jalen Wells continues to shoot threes well, and Jaren continues to make his threes. But I don't think this is a team that by its construct is going to shoot 40 threes a game. And I sure hope not, because I don't like it. Now, if it works, great, I guess. But like I just don't enjoy it.
At the end of the day, we're basketball and analysis shows, but we're also fans. And the fan in us is we want to watch good competitive basketball that is pure to the sport. And chucking 45 threes a night is boring, and it's a bad product to go and watch. You watch the Celtics shoot themselves out of a playoff series against the Pacers when those shots don't fall, because there's going to be nights where you go and there's going to be stretches where you're just stone cold. And if you can't get to the rim and get a bucket, you're screwed for the majority of that time.
And, I brought up DeMar DeRozan and Brandon Ingram, and I wouldn't make a trade for either of them unless it is like just the most steal of all trades. Like, I'm not giving up really anything for either one of them. Mm-hmm. But we've got that at home. May I interest you in a Cedric Coward?
Let's go.
May I interest
Kawhi.
Yeah. Can I interest you in new Kawhi? So, listen, that's the thing about the Memphis Grizzlies in the 24-25 season that was so frustrating. I called them front runners virtually the whole season, because once option A did not pan out, there was no option B. You could not go find a shot anywhere. And I'm hoping that this new lineup with a addition of KCP and maybe even Coward this season blossoms into something that can help in the half court. I just hope that you are able to, one, run an offense that works against good teams. And if it doesn't, you have another option or another 2 options, or heaven forbid 3 options of things that you can get to when a team defends you in a way that you're not ready for.
And we all know that the sophomore slump is a thing, right? We saw Gigi go through it last year in a major, major way. I anticipate that there'll be some of that for Jalen Wells this year, but Jalen Wells we talked about baby Kawhi with Cedric Coward, but watching him even in summer league and last year, Drew, how unshakable he is. Like, he is the same affect the entire game, no matter if his shots are falling, if they're not, if he's playing defense on your favorite player, like whatever that looks like. Like, I look for Jalen Wells to be a key part of that going forward. Same with Gigi. Gigi can be that bucket getter for you on that second unit, backing up Jaren at the 4 and playing a bit more free. I like what they did Saturday. I didn't watch it live, but I watched it back some yesterday and watched the highlights and watched the replay of it. Gigi moves so well in space. And I know it's summer league and I'm not getting all hyped on him, but I look for Gigi to be better this year than what he was last year. And he can beat some of the defensive allegations. He can beat some of the, in his head, prima donna punk allegations this year by having a bounce back year. Again, sophomore slumps are a thing in the NBA, but I think Jalen and Gigi can be a part of that going forward, being those wings that can get you buckets.
Yeah, I think I look for Jalen obviously to step up and improve, and I have no problem expecting him to be good. Like you said, he's unshakable. I like how he's built mentally. Will he have a sophomore slump? Maybe, but I don't really buy it as drastic of a slump as what Gigi had. But Gigi's problem was that he started the season injured. He broke his foot going into the season, and they installed a brand new offense, and it's just not – it didn't work out for him, and he obviously got frustrated with coaches. I'm sure coaches got frustrated with him.
Yeah.
And so I do buy Gigi. I would like to see Gigi at like the 4 more times than not. I don't really want to see him with a ball in his hand unless it's a fast break situation where he's just driving towards the basket with it. I don't want him setting up anything. I don't want him going off any screens. I want him playing a 4. I want him in the dunker role, like an Aaron Gordon type of
100%.
role, where he's just catching lobs and shooting corner threes. And
100%.
I think simplifying Gigi's role will help him excel at what he does and also keep him, there was a lot, and I was pumping the brakes on everybody leading into the next season, mainly because of the injury, but also because he's just a young sophomore going into the game. But I was like, do not just write in Gigi Jackson to be an absolute impact player. And I think what worked against Gigi, because he missed the offseason and the installation of this new offense, was just that everybody was asked to do everything, and he needs a lane. Gigi, of all people, just needs a lane because he doesn't need to be a jack of all trades. He is an elite top 1% athlete with the body and frame to be an absolute dynamo at finishing lobs. So just go put him in the dunker spot, have him rebound, have him shoot corner leads, make it simple. That's what you need to do for Gigi.
I think we saw that a lot last year because Zach Edey and Gigi and these guys were in their heads so much trying to figure out this offense that they forgot how to just hoop. And unfortunately, we're going to have Zach Edey missing fall camp heading into basketball season again. So we're heading in with another young player missing camp and installing a new offense during that time. But what I think and my hope is that this simplified high guard pick and roll offense that Tumas likes to run will give more of a, like Wayno said, direction, roles, and be easier to catch on to than this motion mess, Nola Roach thing that we did last year. And so I'm optimistic that Gigi's found his lane as that slasher. He needs to be like Desmond Bane used to be, a catch and shoot 3 and a 2 dribble player. If it's more than 2 dribbles, Gigi doesn't need the ball in his hand. And he needs to be that for the second unit. Is there a future where he's starting on the first line beside Jaren and Job? I mean, maybe. But we've got to get through basic mechanics and confidence issues. And I think what we're seeing in Summer League, and shout out to him and Jalen, like, in 26 and 27 minutes, they both had 20 points the other day in Summer League, and they're both playing hard. And I love to see those guys that are in there. Like, Gigi is still the youngest player on our roster by over a calendar year. It's like 463 days. So he's out there playing summer league with guys that are not on his level. And same with Jalen. Both of them look like NBA players amongst LA fitness superstars. But they're out there getting reps. They're out there getting basketball underneath them, and they're getting used to this new offense. And again, big shout out to Tomas. I'm hella impressed that he's out there coaching the summer league team, installing his offense with these young guys, getting reps. And I hope that turns into better play from Gigi this year and avoiding at least the bulk of the sophomore slump for Jalen.
I mean, we praise Tomas for coaching his summer league, but he needs reps. And does he have a staff?
Yeah, I don't know. Is Anthony Carter still in Memphis? Is Jason Marks? Like, we don't know. Like, we're still interviewing folks. I mean, Adrian Griffin feels like a guy that's going to be on the staff. We lost Jared Dudley. Agreed. Like, maybe Tomas is coaching summer league because there's nobody else to coach summer league.
It's like, hey, somebody parent these kids. Where's your mama? Like, she's gone. Like, okay, I guess it's got to be me. You know, like,
this is the dad that gets roped into vacation Bible school and having to hang out with all the kids and do the arts and crafts and activities. It's just like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
You know, it's like a single father who's got a daughter. It's like, somebody's got to take this daughter to her beauty pageant. Who is it going to be? And I guess it's me. All right, what's my other option? You know. So
last thing before we get out of here, Drew, Jock Landale has joined the Memphis Grizzlies as a front court asset for us. As it stands to open the season, the only ones we know that are going to be healthy to start the season are Jock Landale, and that's it. We're assuming that Brandon Clark's going to be healthy. Jaren has an outside shot at playing opening night. Zach Edey is much, much iffier. But, like, what are your thoughts on Jock Landale joining this team, and do you think he's a guy that can help bridge the gap until Jaren and Edey are fully healthy?
Well, to me, you look at what Jock Landale does that Jay Huff didn't, and that's the trade-off that was made. They chose Jock's skill set over Jay's. And if you just look at that, I think you can tell a lot about what Tomas wants to run. You know, I think if Tomas had his druthers, we would still have Steven Adams. I feel like that's what they're trying to recreate. And that guy that's a good screener, good rebounder. And if you talk to Wayno, he's a great teammate. You know, I believe he was a captain of that Australian Olympic team. So you just look at, it's less about Jay Huff, and Jay Huff scored in a different way, but Jock Landale is going to affect the game in ways that don't score. And can he hold down the fort? Maybe, but God help us if that's our only option, him and BC, because with our track record, you really need like a 4 deep at every position, but you've only got 15 players.
That's it. Shout out Panaki Stats on X, longtime supporter of us and our show. He's been in the comments. We've interacted with him several times. He posted a really good interview yesterday, just giving some insight on what a locker room culture guy that Jock Landale is. He is very much in that Tony Allen mindset of you ain't got to get ready if you stay ready. So go watch the interview if you have some issues with this, because I feel like he's going to be one of those glue guys that we've talked about needing in Memphis for a long time, that has an edge, that knows his role, and is going to play super hard. And again, Drew, he is last year in 750 minutes, he led the Rockets in plus minus. With him on the court, they were 9.6 points better. That's better than Tari Eason, Fred VanVleet, Amen Thompson, Alfred Şengün, Cam Whitmore, better than all those guys in his 750 minutes. And they were a negative 1.1 with him off the court for a difference of 10.7. So he contributes to winning basketball. We have a glue guy that contributes to winning basketball in one Brandon Clark. If this guy comes in and is a fraction of what Brandon Clark has been for us over the duration of his career, I think this is a great depth move for our front court. He's not going to be our starting center come January, February, March as we're making a playoff push, if that's the case for us. But he's a great culture guy who fits what we're trying to do, rebounds, and plays defense at a high level. I don't know what more you could ask for.
Yeah, I mean, it's a depth move. I like that. I have no problem trading him out for Jay Huff and a second-round pick and a second-round swap. Like, I don't have any problem with that. To me, it shows more of the direction that Tomas's offensive philosophy goes, and I'm cool with that direction. And so I think this is – you could probably look at this and try to decipher, if you want to look really hard into it, and what Edey's role will be. And if Edey's role is just a screener and an offensive rebounder, then great. I tend to worry who's going to guard and how he works in pick and roll. Maybe Wayno can shed some light on that, like how he defends the pick and roll, because Edey's not good at it. And so if you can find somebody that can do that when it comes down crunch time and in the playoffs, that you can have a second option to, then, maybe Jock Landale answers all prayers. But I would still like to see somebody that can fly at the center position.
27-6 and 2 steals against the Americans in the Olympics at the last Olympic Games is
Garbage
not a bad stat line from Jock Landale.
When you play America, there's 35 minutes of garbage time.
Garbage time, because we're putting you to sleep. But that's going to do it for your Monday edition of the 2 Buck Sports Show. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. Central. We'll be back on a Wednesday with more shenanigans, tomfoolery, ne'er-do-wellings, whatever you want to call it, as we hang out here at 11 o'clock on Wednesday. Uncle Buck, thanks for being here. Thanks to everybody in the comments. Like and subscribe while you're here. Go be a friend to somebody who needs a friend. And Drew, there are no refunds for what you heard today.
That's right, because with the $2, you always get what you pay for. See you guys on Wednesday.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the 2 Buck Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page, like this video, and leave a comment. We will see you back here in a few days.